Alright guys, hopefully you checked out the first video if you're kind of new to this genre, Arena FPS games. Again, my name is Rookie, alias is Rookie. Basically, I've got 10 years or more of experience in these kind of games, and I have pretty good success competitively playing them. I'm not saying I'm the best or anything, but I do have a pretty good knowledge of the game, and I hope to share that with you. So just real briefly, I did start out playing Unreal Tournament 2003, and when I first jumped in that game, you had people from UT99, and let me tell you, they were just destroying me. I remember playing on a map called Antilus, and I did not get the concept of dodging around and double dodging and all that good stuff, and especially on that map it was so freaking hilly that it just pissed me off because I literally just getting stuck everywhere, and I had people just jumping around me like a ninja. So I was pretty bad, 12, 13, 14 years ago, whenever that was. And I never had any kind of these videos out there for me to learn. So what I did, I didn't quit. I went and started playing low grab instagib, so that actually taught me the basic movements, and I was unrestricted from the terrain around me, so that helped me actually get really good at aiming. But I had to later learn the tactics around weapons into 2004, which is where I picked up the UT 2004. So I hope in that light to bring some things to your attention. Hopefully you learned something. I went through some of the basic options and settings and things like that. That's the baseline that you want to come from. You can't improve until you've got a good foundation, so make sure you do those things. The next thing I'm going to do here, and what I would suggest, every time a new map comes out from TOXIKK, or anytime you're trying to learn a map, go ahead and open it up in the boot camp and just set it with one bot, so there won't be one when you join. And 60 minutes, score 100, doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up. And basically, I just want to go through the strategies and some of the things that I'm doing in this game to be successful. So hopefully you find something that you didn't know, and going to go over a couple things. So the very first thing that I do is I open the console bottom left there. I actually go to fog density command and I set it to false because I can't stand the fog. It just gets in my view. So again, I just open up console, fog density, set that to false. Okay, that removes a lot of the fog around the map, and I can actually see quite a bit better. Okay, so the other thing that I've done, and I actually created a forum post about it, is I use the letter Z. You can just see my gun just disappeared. See that? I can actually hide, and this works in online right now. It's basically hide your weapon. There's a command. I don't know if it's in here. Set weapon. Yeah, set weapon hidden true. So you can do that. I bound my Z key to do that. So anytime I pick up a new weapon, I immediately press that Z key because I hate having that weapon in my face. So that's not mandatory. I'm just letting you know that's something that I do. So again, I have a post out on the forums if you care to put that on your game before they actually put it in the game officially, which they are going to do, so it's not a big deal. I just prefer to do it. So alright, so essentially I'm going to try to walk you through what I do when I get in a game, right? So I had a really good spawn if this was the game starting out here. Deathmatch free-for-all, spawned by the sniper here, the Falcon. The first thing I'm going to do is grab that gun and immediately make my way towards this shield. That's the most important thing you can do in a brand new match. 1v1, 2v2, doesn't matter what it is. Pick up your nearest weapon, and if you can, get to a power-up as fast as you can. So if I pick this up, I picked it up at 24. So that tells me the next 100 shield is going to come back around 24, 25 of 57, 24, 25. That's a key concept in these games. You've got to truly time and keep track of the power-ups. So recently on the forums there was a post about some guy talking about aimbotting or whatever. Some really, I guess, popular figure on streaming and things like that. He's talking about the game. It's great. and then he talks about how people are just aimbotting every game, and that people are going 40-0 or 50-3 or whatever. Well, I'm one of those people that's going 40-0 and 50-3, 55 or whatever, and I don't aimbot. So I stream. I played the game for a long time of UT, and I want to try to break down the barriers of people assuming. So this shield popped back up at 26. So just by the way, 57, 26. I want to break down the barriers why people think, the really good people are cheating. They're really not. They do a lot of things in similarity that you could do. You just have to learn how to do it. So one of the basic things is getting to the power-ups. So what I do on Artifact especially, if I spawn over by that Falcon, I pick up the Falcon, I jump over to this 100 armor immediately, and then I check to see on the same way, did somebody already take that 100 health? If they haven't, then shame on them. You won't be able to pick up that 50 if you've already got 100 health or 100 armor. I come over here to this 100 health, the keg, and I pick that bad boy up too. And then I note the time, 56:33. So I try to keep a mental note of when I pick that up. So essentially, that's the very first thing you're going to want to do in a brand new match. I mean, it's the same kind of concept if you're joining in a game that's already been started. You're going to do the same thing, run to your first weapon, and then you're gonna want to check to see if the 50's up, if that keg is up, and if that 100 armor's up. Okay, if they are, then you're gonna want to contest for it. You may die on your way over there, which, believe it or not, happens all the damn time to me, and yeah, makes you rage a little bit, but at least you can fight for these things. You don't want to let people just freely get it. So even if you shoot somebody in the back of the head or in the back with a sniper shot as he's jumping from this lift up here, you at least want to contest for these items. It's a big deal. Every minute they're popping. So you may wonder, well, how the hell is this guy living forever and going 50-5 or whatever? It's because he's getting these power-ups. I mean, there's really no other way around it. You're not going to be able to do that if you're only picking up these small healths and getting back to about 100 life, right? So pretty much one headshot, you're dead. Or if unlucky, anything in this game, there's so many things that do a lot of damage. You're not going to be able to survive it if you're not picking up these major power-ups, right? So it's pretty basic, but you've got to start to instill that in your practice, and what you do is every minute you need to be thinking, when is that next power-up going to come? You may not even be the person that picks it up, but you need to kind of think about when did whoever did pick it up, around what time did they get it? And you can even try to get to this area sooner than later. So I would not recommend just sitting here, I'm just going to chill here while I wait for this thing to spawn. That's a terrible idea because you're very vulnerable right here. So many things can hit you. What I would recommend is coming around to this area. If you know it's going to be pretty soon, you're kind of shielded here, and you have a good opportunity just to run in and get that thing. Or you can stay around the Violator, also a good place, because one, you can hear when people come up this lift. So you can control this gun being spawned and pick it up every time. Basically just wait. And I'm talking about waiting for this mega health here. So that's a pretty basic concept, but it's an important one. So another thing, as you kind of run around the map, let's say you picked up the the 100 health over here, you got your Violator, and you're making some rounds through the map. If you notice, like, this rocket launcher's available, don't just, like, pass by it and say, screw it. You need to pick these up. Why? Maybe you already have one, because then for 13 seconds, nobody else can get that damn thing. So my luck is if I let that thing fly, I just leave it there. I come up here and doing whatever I'm doing, fighting people over here. Next thing I know, I'm getting hit in the back of the head with freaking rockets because I didn't pick that freaking thing up. So don't be lazy. When you see weapons and you're nearby them, I'm not talking about just run over to every weapon you see necessarily, but if it's in your path, I would recommend picking it up, because that's one less weapon somebody that spawns is going to have. Okay? So those are some basic things as well. Movement that you're going to want to get down, obviously, is the dodge and double dodge jump, things like that. You're going to want to be able to do that, because you need to be able to consistently go from here to this shield 100% of the time. Also, these lifts, so jumping from the lifts, practicing that. You can also jump around this map pretty well. Not necessarily going to go through any advanced movement or anything like that in this, but basically you need to be comfortable with the dodge movement model. Another thing that you're going to want to think about is what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So I'm not great at every single gun in the game. I try to avoid certain guns, specifically the Stingray. I don't generally use that thing. I'm just not as good with it as I am, say, the Falcon, for example. Maybe it's because the alt fire is on the right clicker that does the single shot. I don't really know. I just know I don't do as well with it most of the time. So I tend to stick with the Falcon, the Rockets, the Violator, the Bullcraft, sometimes the Dragoneer if that's all I have, because that thing does a freaking ton of damage. But you kind of need to start gauging what's your skill level with each weapon, so that you kind of know what you should be using, depending on how much ammo you have and etc. So if you've only got one bullet left of the Violator, you might as well just either use it or not use the Violator until you get more ammo. Don't just leave it out and run around the map with one ammo. It's not going to do you any good. So talked about a couple things. A major piece of this is you've got to get the power-ups, right? You need to figure out where they are. You need to start timing them every minute, basically. I mean, if you want to get nitty-gritty, you can get down to the exact spawn time, 58 seconds or whatever it is. I don't even freaking care at this point. It's about a minute, okay? Get there a few seconds early and you should be good. Even 5 seconds early around here. Like if I know this shield's going to spawn, I'm going to try to, in my route, get around here, and I can just kind of wait for it to spawn. Then I'm going to just go grab it, boom, get in, get out, and I'm going to go over to my next area, which is waiting for that keg, looking for people to shoot the whole time. And it happens to me quite a bit, is you get involved in some fights and you're like, oh damn, I can't even remember what the time was, or somebody else took it, don't know when they took it. That happens to me quite a bit as well, especially in this free-for-all frenzy that we have going on most of the servers. But you have to do your best. Just get there really early next time if you want. Basically, like I said, kind of stick around the good areas to where you can get good positioning. Positioning is a huge part of this game. So if I know this thing's going to spawn pretty soon and I'm just chilling right here and I hear the lift go, I'm going to start spamming this thing, right? So whoever, they may get it, but they're probably going to die too. So just things to keep in mind is the positioning. Being down here is generally not a great idea, because one, you can't even get to this unless you rocket jump. You're going to get shot from here, you're going to get shot from there. It's just a terrible place to be. So you need to keep in mind your positioning throughout the game. I generally don't want to be down here like at all. I mean, there's just so many advantages to being up high than there is being down there. So unless I'm going for the health, like I'll quickly get in, get the health, get the 50. If I see some people over here I want to flank or something like that, I'll pick up the gun and some ammo, get the health, and come through here and kind of do my route, so to speak. But you don't want to hang out down there, because you're such an easy target for this sniping. You could get dropped down on with a friggin' shotgun on your head, which is never a good feeling. So just in general, you want to be up on the high levels. So what I typically see is people that are doing well are going to be over there near the Violator, kind of camping it out a little bit. They're going to be over here with the Falcon, or they're kind of in this area down around into here because you're kind of sheltered a little bit. I mean, you do have the vulnerability coming from the high points up there and right here, but you have a lot of control. You can quickly get up to these areas with the lift and things like that. So positioning, okay, that's a huge part of the game. Incorporating that with your movement is a big deal. I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to time these weapons because, I mean, honestly, it has a timer on it. It's generally about 10 to 13 seconds or so. And it, 15 seconds tells you right there. So basically know when you pick that up, it's going to respawn in, 14 seconds, point whatever. And it is important to control certain weapons it just depends kind of on the match. It's especially important in 1v1 if you know your opponent is freaking really good at Falcon or Violator or something like that. It becomes very important, and especially in TDM, you want to control a lot of the weapons. In the DM free-for-all, you're probably realistically not going to be able to do that. I mean, if you are, that's great, but just know it's a pretty strong concept for 1v1 and TDM as the game starts to progress a little bit towards the release. So I've talked about the timing. I've talked about the things that I do with the fog, removing that fog, and also hiding my weapon. There is a forum post about it if you want to do that, if you're interested, before it's actually fully implemented in the game. It's up to you. But essentially, when a new map comes out, you want to learn the weapon locations. You want to learn pretty good positioning techniques, like where would be good positions to be. You don't want to be down in the trenches. You don't have good visibility. You're going to get shot in the back almost always. So learning to time these power-ups, it's about a minute, 58 seconds, whatever. You've got to start thinking about that if you want to improve your game. So again, for people that go 50 and 5, 50 and 10, 50 and 20, whatever, they're doing it because they're picking up the power-ups. I mean, they're good players too. Like, for example, I mean, I have pretty decent aim with the Falcon especially, so I mean, I'm going to be shooting a lot of people, but if I don't pick up a lot of the health vials and the power-ups, then I'm going to die a lot more often, just from the fact that the weapons do a lot of damage, and if you're not constantly getting health, especially the megas, then you're going to die that much more often. Now you may argue that, well, every time I go over there I just die. Well, that is a possibility, but if you're at least contesting for them, you're making it harder for the other people that are trying to get it as well, and they're most likely going to come away with a little bit of damage. So, it happens on both sides of the court. You're going to get it sometimes and sometimes you're not. Like, just last night I was playing with a lot of good players in a free-for-all server, and I would contend for these 100 keg and 100 armor quite often, and I would die quite a few times just trying to get, especially this freaking keg over there, because there's like 3 ways you can get to it. From over there, behind this wall, behind that you can get to a jump from it, and you can use the lift. And not to mention you're getting sniped so easily from someone right here while you're trying to pick it up. So understand that there are risks, but the value of getting it outweighs not going for it, right? So what should be on your mind, as well as the 100 armor, the keg, are the weapons in general. Okay, you don't want to run around the map forever with your freaking Raven. Okay, just being that guy, just running around ravening people. Okay, it's probably not going to get you a lot of kills. I mean, you might get some here and there, but you're going to be a freaking easy target to just take out. Okay, you want to get to the weapons as fast as you can. So, and you want to pick up as many as you can within your route as you're looking for people to kill. So you'll pick up the Violator, the rocket launcher, the Falcon. You're waiting for these to spawn. If they're not there, picking up the Bullcraft, which is still actually really strong, especially in tight corners. So places like this, it's really powerful. Coming down here when there's usually a lot of people congested in this area, this thing is very powerful, and it can just kill people really fast. So that's another kind of tactic to think about, is which weapon should I be using depending where I am on the map, right? So for example, if I'm using this Falcon and I'm heading over, I didn't see anybody over there, I can hear people fighting, I'm going to come around here and there's like 2 or 3 people in here, okay? You know, you've got a couple options. You can just, you know, freaking dodge in there and be like, what's up, and just start firing at people. Or you can play a little bit more tactically and try to double jump and try to get some shots on these guys without them actually being able to engage you that well. Because, to be honest, right now the Violator will just mow you down like a blade of grass if they can lock onto you pretty well. So, generally, if I know they have this thing, I try to keep some distance, or at least an escape route, right? So if I'm just getting destroyed by a Violator, I'm going to try to get the hell away. And if I drop down here, I might try to pull out like a rocket launcher, because it's really easy to take control in close corners with the rocket launcher or the bullcraft. It's all strategy based, like it's kind of like a chess match. So first thing I would do is try to shoot these people in the back, or shoot them as they're maneuvering over there before they can get a good read on me, keeping my distance. You've always got a lot of different options. The point of this is just to say you need to think about, before you engage people, if you have the ability to engage people that are fighting other people, or they just don't know you're watching them, think about what is the best way to do that, right? So pulling out my Raven and you know, shooting at this guy down here when I've got better alternatives like a rocket launcher would be the better idea. You don't necessarily want to, as soon as you see someone, just jump right down into the trenches here and go at it, you know, 1v1. Because if you're in a free-for-all, you've got to think you're going to get shot from up here. If there's anybody spawning around here, if they're walking over there, and if they're over here, I mean, there's just so many places. So the point of this is to think, you've got to constantly think about, should I pursue this person? Where are they? Are they in bad position? Are they heading for something? You know, what weapons do I have that I can take advantage of this circumstance? A big one I see a lot of newer players do is people die, you know, wherever they might be, and health drops and their weapon drops. Yeah, you're like, yeah, that's freaking sweet, you know, it's like killing a boss or whatever. But the bad thing about that is someone else is there, kind of, you know, in the fight as well. As soon as that happens, someone dies and that stuff drops, I see new players just dash for it. They're like, yeah, I'm going to go pick that stuff up. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw a grenade on top of it. Boom, you're dead. In this game of chess here, you've got to be thinking about what the other guy is going to do based on what you do. So that's an extremely simple scenario where you may want to pick up those weapons that just fell or whatever. You know, maybe you have a Raven and don't have a weapon, but this thing will tear through people pretty well if you're getting consistent shots on them. So I would almost argue don't run to pick up a weapon that drops because you're going to get freaking crapped on by a grenade or a freaking rocket, or you make it really easy for someone to snipe you because they know exactly where you're going to go. Right? So things to keep in mind. It's moves and counter moves. So thinking about all this combined, you know, kind of put it in a nutshell. I've kind of talked a lot about different things. Thinking about timing, you've got to worry about timing. You've got to learn the map. Where are the weapons? And getting the weapons that you're good at. Talked about the fog and removing the weapon from your screen if you'd like to. Talked about some of the movement things and strategy on positioning as well. So getting to good positions to set up for these spawning power-ups. The weapons, some are more important than others, you know, depending on how good you are with each individual one. I talked about in the control section where you can hold X and, you know, walk to the edge of this line, this ledge here, and I can actually snipe people over here, which I've done somewhat often. It's just nice because if you don't hold it, you just go right off the ledge, right? So you can use that to your advantage, and it works with crouching too. I find the I find the walk to be pretty useful. I didn't used to use this that often in UT, but I've tried to incorporate it into my game a little bit more, because it actually, you can see, significantly slows down my movement, which makes it even easier for me to land some solid movement with my mouse and land some pretty good shots. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more hectic and fast-paced. So you don't want to do this all the time, but it does help if you're trying to land a solid hit on somebody. Something that I've tried to do, I use the X key. So while it's kind of hard for me to do it with my right movements, because I have to kind of move my fingers a little bit weird, but the left side movements, it works really well. So I'm still working on that. Something to think about. So really, next thing I'm going to do is kind of go through a live demo of, me commentating what I'm thinking about, whether it's going to be versus bots because there's nobody on. I'll make one versus other people later if there's anybody on. But for now, I'll go ahead and cut this video. This has just been, strategies to think about. The timing of weapons, the timing of especially these power-ups, contesting them, getting to good positions like right there, over there. If you have to take this lift, noting the time, the clock that's constantly ticking, thinking about that, putting together some good routes for weapons that you're good with, and on top of that, the weapons that you're good with, you need to make sure you're in good position with those. Don't be in the trenches. You need to be up high, good visibility areas, especially not only that, but safe areas. So if I'm right here, I'm not going to get shot from very many directions. But if I'm, in the middle of the map, I'm going to get shot from, 7 different angles, and it doesn't matter how good your skill is, you're going to die most likely if the people are decent. So, I have games where I'll go 50-4. The next game I go 50-25. It's just a matter of sometimes you get lucky with positioning, and because you're not going to know where the other people are going to always be, and sometimes you don't. But keeping all these things in mind, it should help improve at least some strategy. Is better than none. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and go through, if there's nobody on the multiplayer, then I'll do a bot session and just kind of go through killing them a little bit, but also, showing you what I would be doing during the game. That you might want to look at doing as well. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and